Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Beacon Breakdown. I'm Keegan Laird Thompson. He's Tristan Leonhard, our intrepid leader who will be joining us once again today. Our pretty regular guest here on the breakdown.
Yeah, what? Third, fourth appearance?
Hey, dude. Well, you run this thing almost as much as I do at this rate. Taking you through all of the previous week of Valpo, as well as some of our upcoming action this weekend. Not to spoil anything, but let's go into this past week.
Yeah,
We're going to start off with League of Legends, who finished NECC undefeated, 7-0 in their conference, ending up in GLEC at 8-4, which is a very high seeding for them as well.
yeah. They had a showdown on the NECC stream Wednesday night with NIU. So they ended up with the 2-0 win over NIU. They're currently sitting as the 1 seed in their NECC division, but they've got a tough matchup with Bethel this coming Wednesday.
Oh,
Bethel
Bethel.
did defeat them in GLEC play, so they're looking for some revenge and to secure the 1 seed in the NECC. For next week. But then they went in, finished their GLEC season with Marietta this past Saturday and ended up with a 2-0 victory there. So they're looking really strong as they head into the playoff matchup this Saturday. Or
Yes.
Friday, sorry.
Yeah, Friday. We're gonna keep that on the wraps until we get to talk about it. But back into GLEC, we're gonna talk about Smash finishing the season 7-4. We discussed this last week. We didn't have any matches since then. However, yeah, again, we're gonna get to that. In NECC, we finished 6-1, only with one loss to Lambton, and I believe that puts us second in our division, and I think that does qualify us for playoffs.
Absolutely. And then you can also touch on singles as that's
Yes.
your baby too.
Yeah, so singles has ended a little bit weird for Weston and I. Weston, I believe he's going to qualify in either the third or the fourth seed in his division. In my division, I finished undefeated, but there was one match I couldn't play just because for some reason Lambton has weird connection issues with our IP address. And yeah, it's a little weird, but hey, that's not a loss. Actually, we agreed to a draw, so that shouldn't affect anything too much. But I beat the second seed multiple times in singles, and I'm going to be qualified probably first seed in my division. Not to brag or anything. I'm okay at this game. Um, so yeah, that's going to be it for Smash for right now. Rocket League.
Yeah, Rocket League has kind of turned things around since the first time we did this. There was a little bit of a rocky start for both Brown and Gold, and they've started rattling off win after win. Rocket League actually played this Sunday, yesterday. They were playing yesterday afternoon with a 3-0 sweep over CSU. Gold had a very intense Friday night back and forth. Ended up winning in 5 games. So both Rocket League teams, again, above 500, looking like they're going to the playoffs in the NECC, looking for that fall crown.
Absolutely. So keep up the momentum. I actually noticed that Soren has been really standing out and starting to mesh with his team a little bit more. He went kind of maverick the first couple games, just trying to do his own thing, but it seems like everyone else has been able to catch up and start working with each other a lot better. So as the season continues, the team synergy is clearly starting to work.
Yeah, and Brown, the one thing I've noticed, and I've watched a lot of Rocket League with this team. I've watched many, many games over the past few years, but they're playing slower. And
Mm.
that's something I know when I talked to Soren a few weeks ago, I said, hey, what's the focus? And after those first few games, kind of like you said, they were going too fast. And now they've slowed things down and the results are there. So it's been really, really cool to see things going in practice, now paying off in the season and seeing where it takes them.
Yeah. Also, Soren started posting clips to his Twitter, so I've been able to kind of keep up with that a little bit as well. But going ahead, we're going to talk about our two Overwatch teams, our babies, our bread and butter here at the Valpo Esports Lab. Both teams also above 500. A bit of a rough transition between the Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, but they're in a very good position at the moment to kind of continue on an upward trajectory too. So I believe you actually told me before the stream that Beacon is doing pretty well, but Shield is absolutely dominating their division.
Yeah, Shield holding strong to that 2 seed right now. Their only loss coming to the 1 seed, Carroll University, which Carroll hasn't dropped a map.
A
Uh, and,
map.
and so when they went together early in the season, we actually almost took game one. So they're right there with Carroll. I know they're going to see him again, hopefully here towards the end of the bracket in the playoffs. But yeah, Shield playing really well right now. Beacon, though, also finding their stride. Again, they went up a division this semester. We knew the
Right.
competition was going to be there. It started off a little rocky, but they've picked things up and started rattling a few off as well.
Right, of course. So Overwatch team probably going to be continuing their prior success going forward a little bit. But speaking of success, we got an opportunity to continue that a little bit this weekend. Yes, guys, we're finally talking about it. League of Legends and Smash are going to be going to GLEC playoffs this weekend in Columbus, Ohio.
It's going to be our second LAN event of the year ish. Basically, we played in the spring. We went down there, but yeah, we'll be going to Columbus, Ohio this weekend, sending two teams down there with both teams now qualifying for playoffs. So the LAN atmosphere, a
It's
little
different.
different, a little
It's
different.
not as cozy and comfy as this lab. There's a lot of teams. The spectators who show up to these ones can be anywhere from, uh, you know, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they applaud pretty much
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
or they can just be kind of vile and obnoxious. And we've seen a number of the latter as well, particularly at the LAN last year that we got to go to.
That was, and I tell people all the time, I've been to a lot of sporting events, NFL, NBA, UFC,
Yeah,
all of those things are loud in their own way. I had never quite been at something like last spring at the GLEC LAN, where we were in a huddle in the middle of the Smash Finals, screaming at each other because we couldn't hear each other any other way. Like
yeah.
the noise, um, the hostile environment, I guess is a little better way to put it.
Hey man, I grew up in Philly. I'm used to it.
But it is just, it was loud. And so, yeah, coming from kind of this calm, tranquil atmosphere we've got here, and going into hostile territory is something different. It's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's going to be,
Different time zone as well.
yeah, yeah, two different time zones. We got the travel effect going on. Yeah, we are one of, if not the farthest school traveling this week. So we've got a couple of things at play, but the GLEC land is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be very fun, particularly with the changes to the division this year. I believe the game arena has been, uh, I don't know necessarily the intricacies of the deal they have worked out, but maybe a new venue space and a lot more production value, I'm assuming, going into this.
Yeah, so we're going to Game Arena's main campus. Last year,
Oh, really?
yeah, we were at their Hilliard campus. This year we're going to be at Game Arena Columbus, so we're actually going to be on the Ohio State campus right in the heart of Columbus.
Oh,
So
no way.
it's their main campus, uh, and about a minute's walk from one of your favorite places to eat.
Yeah, don't rub it in, my friend. So, I'm not going to be traveling with the team this weekend. I have prior obligations. However, there's a Raising Cane's near the venue, and Raising Cane's, I'm just gonna shout you out real quick. Give us a call because we want to talk. All right. So, anyway, but yeah, so let's get into the bracket talk a little bit. The discussions here. We're gonna start with League of Legends. We are guaranteed the sixth seed. I don't
Yep.
think that's correct, but oh
No,
yeah, there it is.
yeah, their standings a little messed up. We're actually going to be the 5 seed. The
Oh, okay,
numbers
all
are
right.
off on this, but yeah. So we ended up being the 5 seed. We're going to match up against Mount Union to start the bracket playoff. And that was actually our very first game of the fall. So for the entire program, League of Legends versus Mount Union was the first game of the fall for Valpo, and it was a thriller. Like it might have been the best game of the entire fall.
That was the one that went like 2 hours, right?
Well, no, so game one actually went to Mount Union. Game two, we ended up winning. I think, Mike, that was like 43 minutes or something in that game two, and then game three didn't go our way. But yeah, it was a back and forth, almost a 3-hour matchup for
Wow.
us. So we get them again. I know the team has been chomping at the bits, as that's the one loss that they want back. But yeah, to start off, drive there, jump into a Mount Union matchup is going to be something else.
Yeah, and since we're in our particular seed contention at the moment, I think that's going to slot us in to play against the first seed in round two. So, got a crown to knock off a potential king here, but we're very prone to doing that here. We at least make it close against the best teams in our conferences, no matter who they are.
And Ohio Northern is no stranger. We've faced off Ohio Northern, even though this is our first semester in GLEC with League.
Mhm.
We've faced Ohio Northern multiple times, whether it's in CLOL or NACE back in the day. So familiar faces all around. But yeah, that 1-8 matchup between ONU and Lords, it's gonna be a good one too.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, continuing, we got a couple more familiar faces. Manchester and Bethel slotted to probably be going against each other at the moment, pending any changes. And then you have Trine down there with Anderson, who's someone I'm not quite familiar with in our division in Smash, but currently sitting in the 4 seed. Definitely not someone to be trifled with either. And Manchester's always there. They have an excellent program, as much as it begrudges me to admit. So they're definitely going to be in contention for a strong placement as well.
But this has been the fun, though, right? Of GLEC and the NECC. So with NECC switching to more of a regional division for some of this, it we've seen the same schools over and over. It's almost creating that rivalry matchup, and we catch Bethel in the NECC, and then the next week we have to play them in the NECC. So
Yeah,
it's all over the place with seeing these teams over and over. The surprise effect is no longer there, and you really have to throw the book at some of these teams as you've seen them now 2, 3, 4 times just in one semester, let alone next semester for teams like Smash, who are going to see some of these teams maybe 4, 6 times all year.
yeah, absolutely. And that's caused a lot of bonding to go on between us. Not necessarily with some schools, but with Bethel and Mount Union. I'll speak on behalf of the Smash team. We are particularly close with those teams. We keep up a pretty regular correspondence, and we play matches sometimes online. So we kind of grow together, which is fun to talk about. And whenever we're playing in conference as well, we'll just ask each other about what the other teams play. Like, hey, yo, who does NIU run? Okay, well they run these guys. We wanted to ask you about Lambton. Well, they run these players. So it's just kind of a cool camaraderie thing that we've got going on with multiple schools, and Umu in particular with their stream team. Josh and I got a chance to speak with them a little bit last year at playoffs. We got on mic there, and they were pretty much the ones running production for the streams. So they run a really clean production over there. They're really good people, and I hate that we have to knock them out round one in the league side of things, man, but that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Smash though.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's get into that.
Yeah, a little bit of a different story. So we found out earlier this morning that there was actually a three-way tie for fourth seed.
Oh,
A-
really?
And the way the tiebreakers all rounded out, we ended up dropping down to six. So it was a tie between Trine, Bethel, and ourselves. And just the way everything lined up, we actually fell down to the sixth seed. I think the team was thinking we'd be somewhere around four, maybe five, and we're anticipating a potential Bethel matchup again. Um, but it looks like we'll be going up against St. Francis in the 3-6 matchup. So we've got a little work ahead of us, but I know the team is up for the task.
Yeah, absolutely. St. Francis, they are up and up, and they definitely have a couple of hard matchup checks for us. Speaking from experience, they have a very good Ken and a very deep roster as well. So, yeah, definitely not people to sleep on. But I think the team that we're bringing can absolutely do it. It's just about who's having an on day versus who isn't. And consistency is king in these situations.
And talk to us real quick because League in person versus League online, maybe a little bit, but Smash,
Yeah,
different story.
whole
What are
different
they
animal.
facing now as we go from playing online to now being in person?
Well, obviously, and we can extend this to league as well. And we did touch on this, the venue space. You're being in person a little bit, so there's an atmosphere, there's an energy about it, which the players are going to need to contend with, particularly a lot of them who don't have local experience. League's mostly played online, so that might be a bit of a steeper hill for them. But I've taken Chris to a couple lands. I know Weston was pretty big in his scene, and we've had Fitz tag along with us a couple times as well. So that's going to be interesting. But the big thing in terms of the actual gameplay you're seeing on screen is we don't have to deal with any buffer anymore. Smash Ultimate Online is notorious for just being very delay based and it's just kind of rough to play on overall. You can have connection issues, it can be laggy, or it can be perfect connection, but perfect connection, you still play on like a 9 frame delay, which to go into frames, what you're seeing whenever you're watching a movie is just a series of stills. And if a movie looks like it's running fast, like most of our modern films, that could be, a lot of frames in one particular second. But in Smash Bros. And against, fighting games in general across the board, you got 60 frames a second. And, knowing that what timing a move can come out on is super important for a player to, like, okay, my dash animation takes this long and I can act out of it at this interval. But that gets completely turned on its head on online because you got to add +9 to each of them. So what you're seeing isn't what's actually happening in the moment. That's just what you're able to witness. So it's very different. And on offline, you don't gotta contend with that at all. So combo games are going to be a lot tighter. Um, we've seen a lot of teams really benefit off of self-proclaimed Wi-Fi
Right.
characters. And I'm saying that because I play one, so I understand how it works. But play teams like Mount Union who have a lot of projectile-heavy gameplays or styles of game, versus Bethel, who kind of likes to scrap a little bit more, be up close and personal with aggression. They might actually rise a little bit compared to some teams who might struggle a bit more because now the counterplay is much more easy to work around. And I feel like across the board, our guys might do a lot better offline. I know Chris in particular will. Weston might. Fitz probably will. I mean, he always says that his character, even though it's a projectile based character, is a lot better when he can have full control over it.
And you know what? You could see that last spring when we went to the LAN, especially because it was our first LAN as a program.
Yeah,
We went through the whole season, ended up 8-0 last spring, and I kind of looked at the team and looked at the competition as we were going, and I was like, we've got this. This you get in person, whole nother ball game. Games were
absolutely.
much tighter. Players were much better. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes Friday.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the big struggle, just gonna be talking from a team's perspective, is gonna be just the mental leap you got to go through. So, a lot of them, this is going to be Spencer's and Weston's first lands for us. I mean, Weston's played in locals, but, it's a whole different beast entirely. But it's going to be really imperative to be able to center yourself in that kind of atmosphere. And, in the past couple of weeks, there's been a bit of tension in the room a little bit, and we've been trying to do our best and dispel that. The guys have had a bit of a break since last Tuesday, so hopefully they'll be a little bit more rested and more ready to go. But I think the big thing they got to deal with is mentality and nerves.
And I think we've seen that across the board. I mean, we're 8, 10 weeks into almost all of these seasons now. It's been a grind,
Absolutely.
and it's one thing when you maybe have teams that aren't winning games and there's not as much pressure, but you see some of these records for our teams: 8-4, 7-0, 6-1, 7-4. There's pressure.
Absolutely.
None of these teams want to lose. They're all fighting and scrapping. So I think after 8, 10, 12 weeks of wanting to win, it's hard. It's hard to keep that up. So I think the pressure is, not only in Smash's corner, but I think you see it across all the teams.
Yeah. And there's stakes that come with this as well. I don't want to get too into it, but as a program on campus, we're still kind of trying to struggle and claw for any bit of respect we can get around here. I'm speaking from my perspective. I know I can't speak for you. I'm not speaking for the program, I'm just speaking for me. But a lot of our players have the same kind of mentality, which is great. It's a really good way to keep yourself motivated because every win feels that much more important. But on the flip side, losses, you're falling that much further from where you want to be. So it's going to be about taking things on the chin and trying to run with it. And, if there's one thing I know Valpo Esports is really good at, it's that. It's picking something up in stride and taking it as far as we can go.
Sorry, I was just saying I
No,
wasn't
no.
sure if you were done. No, but the good thing is again is that this is only fall, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Spring semester we've got Smash again going into the GLEC. We've got potentially two lands next semester. One we can't talk about just yet.
No.
Uh, with
We're on
the
an NDA.
NECC, the fun thing is that winning the fall is great, but it only guarantees you a national tournament. So it's like, it's just step one. So the good thing is, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, we've all got a chip on our shoulder, but we've got another shot as we do it all again after Christmas break.
Absolutely. So with that, I mean, any closing remarks? You excited for the trip?
I didn't want to forget iRacing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we did forget iRacing. I'm
Ricky, we
sorry.
got you.
We had Ricky on a couple weeks ago, and I'm already forgetting that he exists.
We'll just cut and edit this back in like 10 minutes ago.
No, no, we'll leave it here.
No, I know we've got a race tonight.
Okay.
I don't know where. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know it's 100. Where's it at? Phoenix? Phoenix. I know it's 100 laps. I know the team is strong, top 20 in points. Maybe two drivers top 20 in points. I'm looking over to Mike right now.
Yeah,
But
Ethan's been really
iRacing,
showing out too,
yeah,
and he's new to it.
it's been great. I mean, we just the, all the teams, all the teams across the board have been doing phenomenal. It's been a great fall. But no, we're looking forward to Friday. We're looking forward to the LAN. Looking forward to the teams competition. Yes, wins are great, but win or lose, we're just taking in this whole experience and we're looking forward to moving on.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, that's going to be time for us. I know you've got a meeting to run off to rally the troops for the coming storm this weekend. But it's going to be a big opportunity for us. Columbus will be fun. It's going to be a big opportunity for some of our new players. Obviously, League hasn't gotten to travel to a LAN yet, so I'm excited to see that. Some of our Smash team, the newer guys, are getting an opportunity to really show out against competition as it should be in person for Smash. But across the board, we got some big stuff coming up. We got GLEC playoffs for singles and for crews, and then some of our other teams are still on the road to conclude their season. So we'll have more updates for you next week on the Beacon Breakdown, and we'll have a recap from the events of this weekend as well.
And then it's playoffs, playoffs, playoffs.
Yes,
Next
sir.
few weeks, here we come.
All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, spending the better part of your Monday afternoon with us. I know this episode's a little bit shorter, but we got schedules to work around, folks. So, I'm going to head to the gym. You're going to head to your meeting, and I hope you guys all have a very good day. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, stay hydrated, grab a snack if you're feeling hungry, and on top of that, make sure you ring that bell. Have a good one, folks.